Hey guys, Brezan here. Today we're going to do a bit of a different video. We're going to take a deep dive into the meta character for doing ocean content against ships, so PvM content. We're going to start out by going over the template itself, then I'll cover off on the Grimoire that we're using and the poison kit setup. I'll try to list off alternatives as we go. I do want to start with a caveat here because this question comes up every single day in the PVM channel. This is the best. We have people who have done hundreds of millions of dubs on this template. They say it's the best. You can farm on anything. You can get out there. First 10 million dubs I did was on a tamer. You can farm on anything. You can take an axe out there and beat the hell out of stuff if you want. This will do it about twice as fast. Having said that, let's jump into the actual content of this video and the reason you're watching. So first off, let's look at our Echo. I run two different builds here, and what you'll see is one runs 120 poisoning, taste, necromancy, 100 eval, 100 magery, 80 wrestling, and 80 meditation. This one is the I want to always hit a deadly poison at least build. It is very good for clearing boat crew. What it lacks is some spyglassing tracking. And you'll see that on the other Echo that I have, which drops poisoning down to 80 and tracking up to 40. That one, I understand that I might clear a little bit slower, but I can find boats a little bit better. Each 20 points of tracking is the equivalent of going up a material tier on spyglasses. So if I run 40 tracking, my agapites act like valorites, essentially. There's more math behind that. I'm not going to get into that today, but that's why I run these two different echoes. These are the most meta echoes there are. And let's go over the skills themselves. So, first skill, poisoning. Required for the build. You need at least 80 to get the benefits of the poisoning kit, so you will always have at least 80 poisoning skill. Poisoning does not directly impact your damage. The higher the skill, the more likely you are to get a lethal or deadly poison on cast. So at 100 skill, you have 50% to get deadly, 20% to get lethal. At 120, that skill is up 20, or that chance is increased by 20% multiplicatively. So your 20% chance to poison becomes 24. Also, it's worth noting that you get effective poisoning from poison aspect. So I'm at tier 13. I get 32 effective poisoning skills. So on this Echo, it's 152, which means I have a little better than 30% chance to get lethal on any given lethal cast. So that's a lot about poisoning. The short of it is you want at least 80. A lot of people go to 120. Taste ID. Taste ID gives you mana regen and it gives you poison damage. You will never run less than 120 on the meta template. Necromancy gives you increased poison damage and increased AoE damage. You will never run less than 120 on the meta template. Eval Int increases the damage of our spellcasts. Also helps you in PvP. Eval Int should always be at least 80. Some people drop it to 80 and pick up 100 wrestling if they have other damage sources. So once your chain starts looking really good, you drop eval to 80, meditation or wrestling to 100. Magery always has to be 100. We keep up summons. It directly impacts our AoE damage. You guys know what Magery does. Wrestling. It's probably the most contentious skill, so we're going to skip it and go to meditation. Meditation gives you mana chance. A lot of people like to take it to 100 or at least 90 because at 80 you have a 1 in 5 chance of failing when you try to meditate. At 90 it's a 1 in 10, so you double the chances. And at 100 you obviously don't have to worry about it. Between Taste ID and crafted spellbooks, we always run a crafted spellbook on this template. I think 80 is fine. I rarely ever hit the meditation skill itself while boating. Maybe once every 10 minutes. And then if it fails, I'm annoyed, but it's not the end of the world. Wrestling. Wrestling is less damage taken. First and foremost, the main reason you take the skill wrestling is so you don't jump on a demon boat, get hit with a blood, and get hit by a demon and a blood beast attack, and then die and feel stupid and have to respawn. The second reason you take it is because PvP happens on the ocean, and if you take aggro from another player's crew, you will die and you will feel stupid and you'll say, wow, I should have listened to Brozan and I should have put wrestling on my template. The third reason we take it is mana refund chance. At 80 skill, it gives me, we'll pull it up so that I don't lie to you, 12% mana refund chance. That means that from wrestling and aspect gear, I've got 31% chance, and I can get the rest from mana drain and not have to run a exceptional etc. book. So 4 really, really good reasons to run wrestling. You're welcome to drop it. You're welcome to experiment with this. This is UO. You should play the way you want. But this is why it is in the meta template. Some people drop wrestling for tracking to find more boats. I can see the point in doing that. 80 points in tracking will give you an effectively extra 15 tiles, 16 tiles of search range based on your boat, up to 20 if you invest in spyglass bonus on your boat. So there are reasons that you would want to take the template down and not run wrestling, but try to think about having the most consistent experience you can and not being really, really pissed off when you get hit with an eldritch ammunition and a bunch of crew damage at the same time. That's why we run wrestling. Next up, we're going to talk about chain. Our chain, we always want to get at least 15% ship cannon damage. That's kind of the sweet spot where Icebreaker breaks all but Galleon's sails. I personally prefer investing more in ship cannon damage than I do damage on ships. I'm also tier 13 aspect, and I've been doing this a long ass time. Get at least 15% ship cannon damage, and then just see how it feels. Put more links in cannon damage, more links in damage on ships. There is no reason to run any other links until you have 20 links. Damage on ships is the highest modifier you'll get. It affects poison damage, it affects bomb damage, and it's simply the most bang for your buck for a link. So we'll look at a bronze. Bronze, 3%. Gold, 4.5. Absolute best damage modifier you're going to get. The next links you're going to run are damage to poisoned creatures once you're over 20. Again, if you're under 20, mix and match ship cannon damage, but I strongly advise getting at least 15%. Next thing we're going to look at is our Wizard's Grimoire. Let me pull that bag up. Wizard's Grimoire. This one has a lot of personal preference in it. I will say the thing that you absolutely have to max is Curse, Chain Lightning, Meteor Swarm, and Create Food. Beyond that, it's really how you enjoy playing. I'm not going to deep dive into this, but Curse, Meteor Swarm, and Chain Lightning are the ones that are going to get you heavy AoE damage. So invest fully in those. Mana drain for mana refunds. We're going to look at our poison kit next. Poison kit, you want as many points in terminal as you can get because we want that increased tick damage. Everybody likes to do direct dose and efficient differently. It really depends on playstyle. I have 152 effective poisoning right now, so direct dose is not as important to me. This is just your upgrade chance because I am almost always getting at least deadly, and that's good enough for me. Until you have at least tier 10 poison aspect, you probably want more points in direct dose. Same with efficient. Efficient is one of those that can save you a lot of nightshade. I run 150 nightshade on my loadout, and that's good for about 45 minutes of farming. More points in this obviously is more better if you care about your nightshade stores. Airborne sounds great on paper, 10% that it spreads to everything. In practice, it just doesn't feel good. You have a moment where you're poisoning everything. You don't really just poison one and start doing other stuff. So, airborne sounds good, but when you actually use it, it feels terrible. The poison sting one, accumulation, same concept. We don't care about getting lethal, so getting some extra ticks here just doesn't feel great. I dump a lot of points in targeted venom. You might think, but you're AoE poisoning. Why would you do that? It's because demons exist. And so I'll clear the rest of the targets on the boat and getting a really strong targeted venom tick, wiping out the demon, for the points is worth it to me. Susceptible sounds good. Makes ignores target's poison resistance. In practice, this is only good against one or two boat types, Druid and Vials. And realistically, the mobs that resist it go down to our Chain Lightning Meteor Swarm anyway. So that's why we do the book the way we do. Again, it's this part of it is a lot more personal preference than the actual skill template. So feel free to experiment a little bit here, but I want to leave you with an end note here. What we really don't want to do is come in and tell people who have been doing this a very long time, but I want to try it this way. I love for everyone to experiment. We learn stuff by people experimenting. But don't come in the Discord channels and argue that it's better without having gone out and done it. You can make any of these templates on test. They're free to make there. Go out and run with it for an hour. See if it feels better. I have people all the time say, but why don't you take Spirit's Peak? My pets don't do any damage compared to me. When I board a boat, I'm immediately dropping a chain lightning and a meteor swarm, and I'm getting poison tick damage. Liches are going to drop one barrage each, maybe two, in the time that it takes for me to clear the rest of the crew. That is not worth 80 skill points. It's not worth my mummies staying alive for one extra boat, maybe two, in the time that they necro decay. The water is very, very different from land. I could not take this template and run it on land. Uh, you get melted out there with it. So please try it on test. Listen to the people who have been doing this a very long time. They have great insights. I love it when we get people like Angus or Burgle or Matt to come in PVM and really talk about why they use what they use. So try to be respectful to the fact that these guys have farmed hundreds of millions of dubs. They know what they're doing. And while they are very end game focused, learning that helps you to be more efficient. As always, I love conversations around these things. Please DM me, leave a comment here on the YouTube video, and just get out there, give it a shot on test before you buy in fully. Thanks, guys, for listening.